Welcome to this explainer. Have you ever noticed just how quick people are to judge silence? Seriously, in a world that practically hands out trophies for grabbing attention, individuals who decide to keep their pictures off the internet almost seem, well, invisible. But that behavior, it isn't random. Choosing real depth over a digital display actually reveals a tremendous amount about a person's mindset, their confidence, and their emotional intelligence. So let's decode the fascinating, hidden psychology behind people who never post their photos online and explore why their digital silence is actually their greatest strength.
Okay, let's dive right into this by confronting the elephant in the room. Society's knee-jerk assumption that if you choose to stay quiet online, you must be boring, insecure, or hiding something. Think about that classic pics or it didn't happen mentality. You go to an amazing dinner or have a fantastic weekend getaway, and you just decide to keep your phone in your pocket. Suddenly, friends assume nothing exciting is happening in your life, or worse, that you aren't confident enough with how you look to document it. Society has thoroughly conditioned us to believe that an undocumented moment is somehow a wasted moment.
But here is where the psychology gets absolutely fascinating. That societal assumption is completely backward. The loudest confidence is often completely quiet. People who stay off the feed are not hiding in the shadows at all. They are actually demonstrating incredibly high levels of confidence, security, and emotional intelligence. They've simply stopped performing for an audience. It takes a profound level of self-assurance to realize you don't need to be constantly seen by the crowd to be someone of genuine value.
To really understand how this works, let's peel back the first layer and look at intrinsic motivation. This explains why your drive to feel good comes from actual real-world actions rather than chasing external digital validation. Imagine spending a quiet Sunday morning enjoying the perfect cup of coffee, or finally finishing a massive project you've been working on for months. Most people feel this burning itch to broadcast that to 500 acquaintances just to validate the experience through likes. But if you rarely post, your satisfaction is fully contained within the achievement itself. Your motivation is entirely internal.
There's a massive, exhausting difference between living in a constant dopamine loop to affirm your worth and possessing true emotional independence. Psychology shows that the endless need to prove yourself online is often directly linked to lower self-esteem and higher social anxiety. It's basically a digital treadmill you can never quite step off. In stark contrast, the quiet individual holds a deeply secure self-esteem. They don't need a glowing rectangular screen to validate them because they already believe in their own worth in the physical, offline world. So why keep your circle so small? Well, psychologists call this selective self-presentation. And what it shows is that your silence isn't self-doubt, it's an act of deep self-respect. When you don't post your life, it's not because you dislike yourself. It's because you fundamentally understand that not everyone on the internet deserves a front row seat to your personal life. You naturally value real, uncurated intimacy over cultivating some shiny public image. Creating strict boundaries around your private life doesn't isolate you. It actively protects your energy.
The crucial point here is that we absolutely must stop confusing privacy with loneliness. They are entirely different things. Privacy is an empowered, active choice about who gets to share in your life. You simply prefer a tight, fiercely loyal circle of friends who truly know the real you over a massive audience that barely understands you. Loneliness, on the other hand, is that incredibly hollow feeling of being totally unseen, and tragically, that can happen even when thousands of people are watching your stories every single day.
If you abstain from posting, you've likely outgrown the illusion of the spotlight effect. Now, the spotlight effect is just human nature. It's our tendency to drastically overestimate how much others are actually noticing us. We genuinely believe everyone is hyper-analyzing our bad hair day or judging our slightly awkward outfit. But in reality, everyone else is way too busy worrying about their own bad hair days to truly care about yours. The psychologically private person has completely broken free from this illusion, and shedding that mental weight brings an incredible amount of relief.
What happens when someone is trapped in that illusion is a very real, very addictive emotional transaction in the brain. Think about the physical anxiety of posting a photo and then constantly refreshing your feed to see the like count. Post a photo, get likes, your brain releases dopamine, the exact same chemical linked to reward and addiction, and you crave more. But if you keep your life private, you have actively broken this exhausting loop. You're simply no longer willing to trade your emotional stability for a quick, cheap hit of applause. By actively refusing to trade your mental clarity for digital validation, you cultivate some pretty incredible internal traits. It takes a remarkable level of maturity and advanced emotional intelligence to sit with a profoundly happy moment and just let it be.
It takes massive self-control to experience a beautiful milestone and keep it entirely to yourself. You've made a powerful choice to replace the chaotic rush of short-term attention with a preference for long-term peace. You don't need a timeline to prove you are happy. You just go out and live a happy life.
Think about what happens when you travel somewhere stunning. There's a palpable stress in trying to capture the perfect sun-kissed angle for an audience back home, right? Compare that to the person who just stares out at the sunset, feels the breeze, and actually commits the moment to memory. Psychologists note that people who live deeply in the present moment actually take fewer photos because they're just too busy absorbing their environment. A memory feels entirely different when it's genuinely lived rather than interrupted to stage a performance.
This ability to separate reality from the digital performance is what psychologists call meta-awareness. It's incredibly rare, and honestly, it's like stepping completely out of the matrix. Because you can step back and objectively observe the digital world, you clearly see the exhausting pressure everyone faces to appear completely flawless online. Because you recognize the trap for what it is, you have the liberating freedom to simply smile, turn around, and actively choose not to play the game. And by stepping out of that game, you maintain absolute, undeniable control over your own well-being. This is known as having an internal locus of control. In plain terms, it means you hold the pen to your own life story, rather than letting a randomized algorithm hold it for you. You firmly believe the internet is just a helpful tool, maybe for learning or working, but you never ever use it as a scoreboard to tally up your personal value against strangers. Your worth is generated completely internally. Now, we have to talk about the absolute biggest myth out there. The idea that you don't post pictures because you secretly feel ugly, inadequate, or insecure. It's easily the most common judgment thrown at private people. Society loves to whisper that if there's no digital footprint of your weekends, there must be something deeply wrong with you or something you are desperately trying to hide. But let's completely debunk that myth right now, because the science says the exact opposite is true.
Psychology consistently proves that individuals with high self-acceptance don't feel any underlying need to actively market their looks. They are completely immune to society's bizarre obsession with being constantly seen. True confidence isn't built on projecting a flawless, airbrushed image to the world. It's built on a deep, unshakable self-acceptance of your own imperfections. When you genuinely accept your flaws as just part of being human, it completely neutralizes the urge to prove your beauty to random strangers. You find profound peace in simply existing as you are.
There is an incredibly exhausting pressure in feeling like you have to be loud online and seek out crowds just to feel important. Contrast that heavy burden with the profound tranquility of knowing your worth without any digital enhancement whatsoever. You don't need artificial filters to feel beautiful, and you certainly don't need a virtual crowd cheering you on to be someone of consequence. True confidence isn't about how loud and visible you are online. It's about how steady and calm you are within.
So, the next time someone calls you boring or secretive for keeping your vibrant life offline, remember this. Your silence isn't a weakness, it's an expression of absolute control. Ask yourself this, if you experience a moment of pure joy today and you don't show it to a single soul on the internet, does it mean it didn't happen, or does it mean it was finally yours to keep? You're choosing depth over display and peace over popularity. Thanks for exploring this with me today on The Explainer, and I'll catch you next time.